time to talk about it. One of the big ones. One of the most freaking phenomenal tag team matches of this year, and to really kick off the decades of tag team wrestling, I present to you my thoughts on AEW's Revolution, Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega defending the tag team championships of the world against the Young Bucks. Elite versus Elite. Brothers versus brothers. And oh god, this story was something else. So yeah, the story. So Hangman and Page and Kenny Omega had defeated SoCal Uncensored for the tag team titles during the Jericho Cruise thing, but this story actually stretches all the way back to a little show called All Out. You see, Hangman and Page has basically become AEW's The Rock, or has become AEW's The Rock or Stone Cold with the cheers he was getting before the virus hit. He was getting so much reception. He was building himself back up as a character. It was becoming a very testament to what he could bring to the show. Like the Young Bucks bring up that he was a nobody in Ring of Honor, but when they took him on board for Bullet Club and all that, he was becoming a somebody. But then during the whole Bullet Club thing, he was like in the third wheel, so to speak, in my opinion. Like his run was great, but he really started building himself up when he hung one of his ROH wrestlers and became Hangman. And then after that, he was in Bullet Club for a while. Then the Civil War broke out between them. And that's when he really started coming in, when he was challenging for the U.S. title against Jay White in New Japan. But he was still kind of playing off to the side, like he was trying to get some relevancy with this. Like then the Being of the Elite was expanding show, and he really got to showcase his personality more. And also, Kenny Omega lost his mind and is cradling toilet paper due to the quarantine after only being in there for a week, 3 days at best. So Hangman really lost his chance to win the title at All Out, and I had said repeatedly, although I like Hangman, I felt like he would have been a huge gamble because not that many casual fans and not that many mainstream audiences know who Hangman Adam Page is. They know who Jericho is, and Jericho signed a 3-year deal to be there for the long term, a full-time contract. So it made sense to have Jericho win the title in order to build up that audience for AEW, for TNT, because TNT would probably push for it because it's Chris Jericho. He was one of the top guys that should have been a top star in WCW, and look how that worked out. Now it's like, we're not going to make that same mistake again. We got to get Jericho as the top guy despite his age, because he can bring it on the mic, he can bring the appeal, he can bring the mainstream attention. And some people kept disputing that, saying Jericho's not mainstream. And I'm thinking, okay, so the guy who operates a Fozzy worked for WWE for over 20 years, has worked in WCW for some time, ECW, run wrestling shows all over the world, brought mainstream attention to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like their golden age blew up when Kenny Omega and the Okada stuff was going on, and then Jericho came in, and now everyone wants to see what New Japan's all about. Yeah, Jericho is definitely not mainstream appeal. So a lot of people were wondering, like, if this was WWE, Hangman would have pretty much fallen off the board. But Hangman, to some extent, fell off the board, but not in the whole hey, let's just give up on the guy. Like, he's not gonna make it. No, what they did instead was like, okay, hey man, here's a microphone. Go out there and just scream at everything you want. Just go on the mic. They basically did this. They basically did this. Hold on. Testing 1 2 3. Hey man, look, I know you lost at the championship. You could compete. You could win the world title. So basically, here's a microphone. Go ahead and say whatever the hell you want, because that's how AEW structure work. They don't operate a traditional format of the WWE system that's broken for the most part. But the idea that Hangman and Page, because this is really Hangman's story. It's not Kenny or the Young Bucks. They're cool and tight as brothers, but Hangman is the main character in this big story they're doing. And Hangman got over more so than ever with his yelling of cowboy shit, and everyone was chanting cowboy shit, cowboy shit. But then as time went on, you noticed he was starting to struggle with basically being the C guy, because really when you look at it, look who's in the elite right now. You got Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are vice presidents along with Cody Rhodes, but Kenny is, well, Kenny Omega. The Young Bucks are Young Bucks. Cody is the freaking owner pretty much on TV. So where does that leave Hangman? He doesn't have any position of power. He doesn't have he hasn't had that big shot moment yet for himself on TV or anywhere else really. Like his big moment came when he earned the name Hangman, and that's when he hung somebody outside the ring. But the story of Hangman was like he got he left the group. He left the elite. Like he says, I'm still brothers with you, but I need to ride solo for a while. And that was like, is this really happening? Is the elite breaking up? And that was one of the big subplots heading into this match. Was the elite destroying itself? Like throughout the months since AEW formed, the elite have clearly had this mentality that even though they're operating a company now, even though they're more responsible than ever with stuff, they can still do their things, they can still act up, they can still do their goofing around, the t-shirt company comments, they can still do that. But then as their losses start piling up, and their war with the Inner Circle was a complete failure on them so far, they got outside parties getting involved, like Private Party beating the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega losing to Jon Moxley, Cody Rhodes now can no longer challenge for the AEW World Title again because of MJF, and Hangman is pretty much in the shit show because he's pretty much been losing a lot of matches, and then restarted building himself back up, and it was like, and I believe one of the Young Bucks mentioned this on the Being the Elite show, like, I thought this was supposed to be fun. I thought we were just having fun. I know in real life they probably are thinking this is gold and whatnot, and like they know they have big responsibilities ahead of themselves since they are vice presidents of the company. But the idea of the characters are like they thought this would just be another hilarious adventure, do whatever you want. To see that now they're realizing, okay, I don't think we knew what we were walking into when we did this. So to see the Young Bucks, the elite, just starting to splinter and break under the weight of it, it was really, it's kind of becoming a very beautiful story. And Hangman was getting over. He and Kenny were a lot of people have been saying this. They want Kenny Omega to be the world champion, and I was like, just let them wait. Just wait it out. Like they can have Kenny Omega be the champion next year, 2020 or 2021. That's my best estimate. And I wrote a tweet about that, but I'll get to that at the end. So the Young Bucks haven't even won the tag team titles yet. I thought this was going to be the match that they won the titles in, but that wasn't the case. And then Hangman and Kenny Omega shocked the world when they beat SoCal and Censored for the tag team gold, which shocked everybody. But like I said, everyone was expecting like Hangman and Kenny, like they're main event stars, they're single competitors. They could never gel as a tag team, despite their camaraderie and all that brotherhood and whatnot. But they managed to make it work, and they were delivering good matches while displaying the tension that it was building within the elite. When the Young Bucks got their opportunity to compete at AEW Revolution, that's when you knew, oh, this is gonna get good. I mean, like, it's not Kota Ibushi and whatnot, but, like, the tension is going to be there because Hangman, in the subsequent weeks after winning it, was mocking the Young Bucks, saying, hey, I won a title before you. Oh, look, I got my nameplate and whatnot. I won this, and I'm the champ, and that means I'm superior to you. Kenny Omega is trying to play mediator, and Hangman is just becoming an alcoholic now, drinking beer and whatnot, basically trying to be Stone Cold, but without beer cans, except he's just getting cups of beer and consuming it all the while. He even did, after he won his tag team match at the Jericho Cruise, he dived into the crowd and they were carrying him around and whatnot. Reminded me of when Bam Bam Bigelow threw Spike Dudley into the third row and they just lifted him up and just and just swarmed over him, let him swarm above them, and like this was a very cult like praise to people. Like, man, that was hilariously awesome. So now you got this, and then the interviews happened between the Young Bucks and Hangman and Kenny, and there was obvious, yeah, they were like Hangman was ready to kill Man Nick, and Kenny was trying to basically be mediator. He's basically becoming the Obi-Wan to Hangman's Anakin Skywalker, trying to keep him on a leash, some kind of leash. We just need an Ahsoka, and then everything will be perfect. So we need to find a female competitor that is a lot like Ahsoka, but has a distinct personality of Hangman can alike. Then we could do the Mustafar thing. Though of course we can't use limb removal, but I'm pretty sure we'll do something stupidly insane. Anyways, so we get to this build up. It's going so damn well, and you got Hangman being asked questions like, "Can you and Kenny Omega get on the same page?" Because you kind of been kind of tense lately, and Hangman's just very blunt in saying, "What's that supposed to mean?" And then starts screaming and yelling, drinking more beer, and no one's referencing the fact that, hey, Hangman, why do you have an alcohol addiction now? Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. I think they're kind of, yeah, should we mention it? Should we not mention it? Because of the whole, wrestlers and alcohol consumption has been a very dark tale on wrestling, and not the good kind tale. So, yeah, Kenny Omega was trying to say, look, I think we're on the same page. But when Hangman made his burst, he says, I don't think we're going to be on the same page. Which, that admittance, like, you would think, like if this was WWE and John Cena and Shawn Michaels, like, I'm pretty sure John Cena would say, look, I know we've had our issues. I know he's going to fight me at WrestleMania, but we're not just WWE, not just opponents. We're tag team champions, and we got a huge match against Undertaker and Batista. He has my back as much as I have his, and whatnot. But and then they would do the curse your son but inevitable betrayal. Instead, Kenny Omega just bluntly admits, "But look, I was gonna be honest and say that we're on the same page, but after this display, I don't even know if we are." And then we get to this match. This was possibly the greatest tag team wrestling match I've seen. That's not the 6-man tag team match. That's the epicness of the Shield and the Wyatt family. I mean, a pro wrestling tag team match. And a lot of people always give the Young Bucks flack for this. Like, they always like to say the Young Bucks still have no psychology. They just flips and kicks. Like, come on. After this match, was anyone really saying that still? Like, I know that everyone likes to call them spot monkeys, and I just look at that as a different style in wrestling. It's still, to me, wrestling entertainment. Not sports entertainment. We call it wrestling. So, yeah. This was a freaking classic. One of the best tag team matches I've seen since, ironically, the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Lovers. And once more, the Elite are proving once again why they're the best faction right now, because they're not just churning out great stories. They're doing this huge camaraderie and whatnot for AEW. And tag team wrestling is one of their big priorities. It's come at the cost of the women's division, and I'm hoping they improve on that. But let's move on. And plus, I just heard Britt Baker's injured, so I think someone's pissed about that. So yeah, Hangman was the main star in this. Like, the Young Bucks, like Nick Jackson, I believe. I keep mistaking the Young Bucks' name. Sorry about that. It's like the Usos, except I know there's some differences. I keep trying to remember. Like, I can remember faces, but names, you have to give me a sec. Especially if they're brothers, and I keep trying to keep track of what their names were. Especially if they're twins. In some degree. But anyways, yeah, I think that's one of the big problems people have. Like, the Young Bucks and much like the Usos, like, I was like, okay, which one's which? They look very similar. That which one's which? One has black hair and one has brown hair, and that's pretty much it. I think that's one big problem. Like, there's nothing that makes them stand out. Like, if I looked at Hangman and Kenny Omega, it's like, okay, there's a difference with them, like a goddamn freaking difference. So I can tell who they are easily. And whereas you got like twin brothers like the Young Bucks or the Usos, it's like, yeah, not really that much different from each other. So yeah, so I have to keep looking research up just to get this right. But Hangman, like Kenny is trying to keep things civil between the two splintered factions within the elite. Hangman's being an asshole. Uh, and there were a lot of moments I thought the Young Bucks were gonna win, like the Golden Lover trigger knee trigger attack. Kenny Omega kicking out at one, which was shocking. Hangman being taken down. They're referencing I'm trying to remember. Is it Nick? I know this was a story they keep bringing up since well a few years back. How they like to reference that one of the Young Bucks' backs is completely shredded and torn asunder, basically, because they keep referencing one of the Young Bucks' back because they had a history of back injuries, and now they like to reference that from and that's basically connecting ROH, New Japan continuity into the AEW continuity, which I'm loving. And then like Hangman's trying to powerbomb. Let's see. Okay, trying to yeah, it's Matt Jackson. Hangman is trying to powerbomb him to try and finish him off, but then Kenny stops him like, look, we're going to fight this match, we're going to win, but we're not going to go that route. And the Young Bucks try and stop it and whatnot, and then Hangman gets triple suplexed over at the stairway at the arena ramp, and that's awesome. Then Hangman shocked the world basically when he shocked everyone when he goes ahead and does the one-winged angel, and I was like, holy shit, he just did that. And Hangman, after being powerbomb, after being tombstone pile driver, Meltzer driver on this ramp, you were like, that's it, it's over. Like, the Young Bucks are going to win. No, he actually manages to get back up a few minutes later and takes both out, takes the Young Bucks out. Kenny Omega continues fighting and displaying his passion and why he's the best bout machine. And then Hangman helps end this match with we're doing the buckshot lariat against both Young Bucks and then getting the pinfall, celebrating it. But it's the end match that everyone talks about, other than just the match itself. It's the ending. Like, a lot of people are like, how are they gonna keep the story going? Like, now, like, everyone assumed the Young Bucks were gonna win and the splintering would be and the fracturing of the group would start. But no, they had the Young Bucks win, and now everyone was trying to wonder just where were they going to go with this. And then you notice certain moments during it, like when Hangman's trying to get up and move around, you see Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks together, and it's in a very familiar position. They look like they're going to do the super kick like they always do, where after they take down someone with a triple super kick combo, they just do the pose together, but they don't do that. Like, they're trying to rebuild that bridge. But then Hangman, at the end, when Kenny has his back turned, helping the Young Bucks up, he goes ahead and looks at him like, it was like, then his face becomes a little bit neutral, and then it was like he's holding the lariats like this, his arms are a little shaking, like he's trying, like it's just so tempting, like he just won the match, but now he knows what he wants to do, but then he just stops and was like, and then they start celebrating with Hangman drinking again. But the commentators pointed this out, like, was that what we think we saw? Was that going to be what he was going to do? And now this mystery is entrailed that who's going to betray who? Kenny Omega and the Elite or Hangman and the Elite? Like, who's going to turn on who? My money's on Hangman. And they end that tag team match. It was praised across the board. Fans loved it. Journalists loved it. Critics loved it. Like, so many people loved that match. I love that match. And they got 30, like, how long again? 30 minutes and 20 seconds. And this was, they had a time limit of an hour. I really have loved if it went for an hour somehow. Maybe one day. But, yeah, so, yeah, and they also like to bring up how prior to this, to do the Hangman, they did Kenny Omega versus Pac. I'll get to that at a later date. Where they said Kenny might be the weak link because, you know, he just fought Pac in the 30-minute Iron Man match the same week. So, yeah, I love that idea. But, yeah, so, yeah, they tease that the Elite's going to betray Hangman, and then they tease that Hangman's going to betray Kenny. And, yeah, they hug it out and just walk away with their trophies and Hangman drinking beer. And this was, like I said, one of the best tag team match of the year. Like, this has got to be match of the year candidate for AEW. And maybe for a lot of journalists and award ceremonies. But, yeah, this was, okay, I know a lot of people like to say Hangman's a coming out party. Like, to me, this was Hangman's breakout star moment, like, hello world moment. Like, yeah, he had his big moments, but nothing that made you want to say, hey, he can carry that company flag. And now looking at other than that, he has the tools to be the next company bearer. And was like, but he hasn't had that moment, that click to make you cheer, to make you want to cheer for him, make you want to buy all his merch. And sure enough, he only was considered that because he was part of the Elite. Because there's a Kenny Omega, there's a Young Bucks, there's Cody Rhodes, there's Marty Scurll. Like, you knew all their names, you knew their breakout moments. But what was Hangman's big moment other than noosing somebody? And now, look where he's at now. Now I say he is ready. He's ready for the big time. He's ready to hold that world title. More so than he was back in August. And this is the best example that if you lose a big time match, you can build yourself back up and become even bigger than you probably could have been as the champion initially. Why is WWE so freaking miserable with it? No, like, imagine if Bray Wyatt lost at WrestleMania against Randy Orton, which sadly that happened. Bray Wyatt was never allowed to build himself back up like Hangman could. If Bray Wyatt was given the proper resources and whatnot, and the ability to say whatever the hell he wanted to get over, then Bray Wyatt probably could have done the Fiend and Firefly Funhouse thing probably a year sooner. No, instead he had to wait for another 2 years for that, and that freaking sucked. I'm like, not the gimmick and whatnot, the fact that he has to wait, and the fact that they had to break him down more and more and more and more, and it took 2 years and him becoming depressed and locking himself up in his house for months trying to make his character after years of build-up, and he's like, let's do it now. He had to fight for it. Whereas Hangman, he was like, here's a microphone, go out there and say whatever the fuck you want. And, like, in my opinion, Bray Wyatt's now the best version of himself as possible. He could probably do more in the future again, because he can do that. In my opinion, Bray Wyatt's the best thing going currently in WWE. Hangman Adam Page is the best thing going on in AEW. And I wrote a tweet back in March where I said this. I made this statement. Hangman at the Adam Page will be AEW World Champion by 2021. Remember this tweet. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. Hashtag All Elite Wrestling. That was my big prediction for next year. And a lot of people agreed with me. One from JD Ultra saying most definitely. And Melvin Jackson saying, yeah, I see that coming. Del Cullop said, I agree. And Simple Noah Foster, we all know him. He's been on the podcast. Said noted, I believe it. One says, I hope you're right. I also, and one person was not sure about it, but then I told him, like, something tells me that because Pac's there and Mock will hold it for a while, I gave this predicted scenario. Since Pac's in the trio division that's forming with Death Triangle, I was like, I think he's out of the title contention for a while. And he says that Hangman could be AEW's Naito, and I was like, okay, I don't think they'll go that far. Like, Naito was because he was denied it, and they didn't want to do it, but when people were cheering for him, they were like, we gotta do it. But this is what I said. I could see him, really to be specific, I'm thinking late 2021. Close the year out with Hangman winning the title. I could see him defeating Kenny for the title. If I had to roadmap it, John Moxley holds the title for 2020 to late 2020 or early 2021. Kenny Omega holds it throughout 2021. Hangman Adam Page wins the title in late 2021. And I think they have the material to make that last as long as possible to get to that moment, because oh god, he's still tag team champion. The coronavirus happened and that fucked everything up. Like it took a virus for him to get silence. Let that be a testament of what was going on. But yeah, it took, like, the virus happened. They were going to advance more of the story, like they were going to do the blood and guts event, but now that had to be canceled because coronavirus. And now they're going to do their big event tonight, Double or Nothing 2. Hype for that. That's why I'm doing this video, honestly. But to do this, now they're going to basically just tear the house down with the spring stampede match. That's gonna be insane. And let's see if the story finally progresses with Hangman Adam Page's rise to superstardom, because like I said, Kenny Omega is the best bat machine, the Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world, Cody Rhodes is the best storyteller, but honestly, Hangman probably is gonna be their Austin or their Rock for AEW in the long run, when that moment comes, when he wins the title and raises it in the air. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Hangman Adam Page's journey, and I can't wait to what he's gonna bring. This story is freaking phenomenal. Like I said, WWE can say this: we have the Revenge Saga by Bray Wyatt. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We here at AEW have the Hangman Page Superstardom storyline. So, yeah, that's going to be awesome when that moment comes, and I'm going to love every minute of it, I believe. So, those were my thoughts on Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships at AEW Revolution. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.